Welcome to Matters of the Heart podcast with Rashonda, Sunday Thoughts episode edition. Sunday Thoughts are stories I've experienced in life, and I relate those stories to God's Word in a way where you can understand. It's never about preaching, but a discovery in trying to find God's voice and pick up a few lessons to be learned in our daily lives. This Sunday, let's take time to reflect and think about those experiences. God's messages are often hidden in plain sight in everything that happens to us, whether good or bad. Hey everyone, welcome back. I bet you say, welcome back. Girl, where have you been? Okay, I have been around. Listen, this is Rashonda, just in case you forgot who I was. Listen, and if the, beginning credits didn't, Anyway, you're probably wondering, where have you been? What's been going on? I know I said I was coming back with a podcast, some episodes, and all this stuff. Listen, when I say life happened, life definitely happened. It kind of put a brown paper bag over my head, and honey took me in an alley, and I have been locked up, okay? It's just been one of those things. You know how sometimes you have really good intentions to do something. I mean, really good intentions, but sometimes your heart intentions don't always play out like you planned. So I thought, what better time to come on, because it has been a lot happening. Listen, we're about to embark on a new year, like a brand new year. Can you believe that? It seemed like it was just yesterday. It was January, and I closed my eyes and opened it again, and here it is, December, and we're about to go into a brand new year. That's just how quick everything I feel like has been going this year. So you might say, what's going on, girl? Listen, this is unscripted. I'm just coming so we can have a little chat with a whole lot of intentionality, so it's going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's going to be kind of like a wrap up of the year. It's just some things that I've learned, a lot of things that I've experienced, and just, hey, we're just going to have a talk. Is it okay? If we have a little conversation, because that's what's going on. So, get your popcorn, if you just ain't got nothing to do today and you hey, I just want to turn something on and listen to it. Hey, you might get something out of this podcast, because I got a couple of tips, that I've learned that maybe can help you, especially as we go into a brand new year. So hold on, get your tea, get your popcorn, get your chocolate, or whatever floats your boat. Okay. And come back and let's just talk. All right. So I'll be back. Okay, so here we are. Listen, I don't really plan for this podcast to be very long, because I really don't want to bore you. But at the same time, it's just, there are two things about going into a new year. It can be very exciting, and it can be very scary. Exciting because January is like a new beginning for everybody, okay? Everybody, okay? Because everybody going back to the gym, all right? If you like me, you done had a gym membership and you ain't been in a year, okay? We're going to fix that this year. But anyway, so it's it's a new beginning for everybody. It's almost like a reset, to just kind of do things different, do it over. Hey, if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? And for some of us, we try again every January. But but it can also be scary, because you just never know what that year is going to hold. You don't know, once the new year come in, or once January, comes in, January 1st, you just don't know from that point on, from January 1st to December 31st, what's going to happen, what's going to take place, and whatever. So that it can be a little scary. So, hence 2023 for me, it came in, I had all these, good ambitions and goals and things. I really don't like making resolutions, because I mean, you started January the 1st, and honey, most of those resolutions are out the door by January the 28th, okay? It's like before January is over, okay? 2 weeks in and it's over. Resolutions out the window. But so I just kind of like try to keep, in touch with myself or what I'm doing, and making sure that I'm doing that well, or keeping track of, maybe some things that I want to do. But I have to say, this year for me has been very surprising. It has been very sad. It has been an eye opener, and I learned some things along the way. So I kind of want to talk about that. I'm just kind of do this in spurts. We're going to talk about death. We're going to talk about dating. We're going to talk about career changes and closing doors and family changes and being intentional and all that good stuff, except for the death. That wasn't great. So, January came in, it was great. And I know the last podcast that I did before I took like a hiatus was in May, and I was talking about mental health. Little did I know that I would really need that, and I should have taken more than 3 months off, because I called myself taking 3 months off, just taking a break, because sometimes you can kind of get overwhelmed with doing things. You put too much on your plate, and next thing you know, you overwhelmed, and it's like, okay, I need to let some things go. I need to take a mental break from this, or kind of let this go, or step back from this. And I called myself doing that. And so I was like, I'm gonna come back in September. Well, September didn't happen, and I ended up coming back in October. And whatever. And I was like, you know what, we're gonna end this year with a bang and all this stuff. And I feel like I got banged up, a little bit. However, the year is not leaving with this case of, bad news. I felt like I got bad news after bad news after bad news this year. I know the podcast that I recorded in May, if I'm not mistaken, I think I had just found out that my cousin had passed away, and that was very devastating. That was very hurtful to find out. And she was very young, and she left 2 children behind. And so, I needed a break, from that, and whatever. And I'm gonna be very transparent. I didn't talk to my cousin like that. You know how it is. You grow up with your cousins, or you grow up with people, and then once you guys get a certain age, it's kind of like you go your separate ways, and so it was kind of like that. Like, I hadn't talked to her in I don't know when. The last time I think I had heard something about her, my mom was talking to her and was trying to, kind of help her with some life, issues and some life changes that she was going through at the time. But I had not personally talked to her. It just hurt me for 2 reasons. Because 1, she was very young. She was like early 30s. And 2, she had 2 children. And I feel like she just got taken away way too early. And so, when times like that come, sometimes you wish that, you kind of had reached out, or you kind of had talked a little more. Maybe if something you could have said or did to change somebody's mind or their perceptions about things. And, and sometimes it doesn't matter what you do or what you say. You won't ever change anybody's mind. Once their mind is made up about something, that's pretty much it. And so, and she was just that person. But, God rest her soul. So after that, upon the hiatus and the break that I took, it seemed like more deaths just kept coming. One of our beloved pastors from our church passed away. That was very hurtful. She was going through a terrible sickness, and, we was believing God that she was going to get well, but unfortunately that did not happen. And so, that was very hurtful, and honestly, it was very taxing on the church as well. So, it was just a really sad time. That was in June. And then come August, my sister passed away, and that was hurtful. I think that was like, I don't even know what to say about that. That was, words can't describe what that was. we had just, reunited with one another like in 21. And so I'm grateful to God for the year and some months that I got a chance to get to know her. It was something about her though, that it's just, even when we were kids, when I found out that she was my sister, I just always I felt like I always had this attachment to her, or I always wanted us to talk. And I kind of hate that life is life, and we just lived in two different states. And, I reached out to her one time before when my nephews, her sons, were like really, really small. They were like in daycare, I believe, and, or maybe early school, because our kids are like kind of back to back in ages. But, and we kind of lost touch because I moved, and I just hate that I didn't get in contact with her sooner, but I thank God that I got in contact with her when I did. And, and she just reached out, because I had reached out to my dad. For those of you that don't know, I just reunited with my biological father after 28 years in 2021. So it's like when I reunited with him, then I also, that's when she came about, and she just reached out to me and just started talking. And, we had some pretty good conversations, and she texted me all the time. I still got her text messages and stuff. But last year, when she told me she was sick, it just hurt me to my heart. It's one of those things where you pray and you like, God, if you don't do nothing else in the world for me, do this one thing. Like, do this one thing. If you don't do nothing else, do this one thing, God. And, and I'll serve you forever. Not that I don't serve God, because I do. I am a believer. But it's like, you just want people to live, you just want people to be healed. Like, you don't want nobody to be sick or, or whatever. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. But it was one of those things. And I prayed for her, got my church to pray for her, got the intercessory team to pray for her, the prayer team, and all this stuff. And come August, she passed away. And that was hurtful. And, I got an opportunity to go back to my hometown and to go to her funeral and everything. And it was just a really, really sad time. And it kind of did something to me. It really got me to thinking, though, that, she had just like really came into her dream job, which is being a teacher and teaching kids. And from my understanding, she was really, really good at it. My sister was smart, she had degrees and all this stuff, and just came into her dream job and didn't really get a chance to have the years in it like I think she would have wanted to have. And that was the sad thing. And so, it just makes you realize that life is just so short, and we have to take one day at a time, but enjoy your life. Do the things that you feel like you can't do, and that, or that you will, it's my age, or, well, it's too late for that. And I tell people, it's never too late for anything. As long as you got breath in your body, okay, it's not too late. Okay, as long as they not rolling you down the middle aisle of a church to sit you in front of all these people that probably you wouldn't have known if you was living, it's not too late. It's not too late to do anything. Quit putting things off till the last minute. And I'm preaching to the choir here. Like, quit putting things off to the last minute. Just do it. Get it done. And so it's just, I did learn something other than that from her funeral. And that's just, enjoy life. Travel more, do more and whatever, because you just never know. You never know. And speaking of never know, so I did get just off to a lighter subject, I did get my chance into dating this summer. Okay. Thought I would try after 3 years. I thought I would try the dating circuit and get back out there and put myself online and stuff. Even after I said, I was just gonna wait. I wasn't going to try to do the dating thing because I just suck at it. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. It was more of a practice for me. Just to see, because sometimes when you've been single for a long time and you haven't been on a date and you don't know when, it's kind of hard to kind of gauge like what's out here, like what's going on, what's the language, what's the lingo, you missing out, and sometimes I will say this, you need like that interaction with a guy or with a woman just to see, okay, am I kind of sharpen up your skills a little bit, kind of dust yourself off a little bit, and whatever. But I tell you what, this dating circuit has not changed. It has not changed. People are not who they say they are online, and you could have the greatest intention about getting online and being this wonderful person and presenting yourself to these people. I'm always true about who I am, okay? But everybody else isn't like that. So I got online and I met a couple of guys and, had some okay conversations, but it was this one guy. I'm the type of person like this, if you're not looking, I wasn't looking to be online like that because I don't like going through after guy, after guy, after guy, just doing whatever. It was this one guy, he was like, he had been on there for a year. I had just been on there like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. He was like, hey, I felt like he was really interested in me. So we kind of, talked and, and whatever. Things was going okay at first. But let me tell you something. You really have to read through the red tape, okay, when it comes to people, because he told me, he was like, this last relationship I was in, she was bugging me about going out on a date, talking about we had been together a month, and she was like, let him tell it, tripping, okay, because they did not go out on a date. And I was like, oh, and he was like, yeah, she don't understand, I'm busy, I got things going on, I got things to do and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, boo-hoo her, if she can't, if she can't wait on you, for a month, I'm sitting up here, I'm like, got his back. Yo, when I say we were talking for almost maybe 2.5 months and he had not even mentioned a date to me. It was like every time I mentioned like us meeting up or going out on a date, he always had an excuse. Now he say he didn't have nobody, because I know what you're gonna say. Maybe he had somebody. Let him tell it he didn't. He was taking care of his, his children, and he was divorced and whatever, but he worked so much he had no time for me. He only had time for his kids and his job, and I met him maybe twice, or whatever, but it was like a 5-minute meetup because he had to go home. It was like almost like he was just getting off of work. It was almost like those type of meetups. But let me say this. This is to men and women. If you're not ready to really date, okay, if you're not ready to like take it to the next level, or if you getting online and you ain't gonna take nobody out on no date, you just ain't got time for that, just say that up front. Like, just be like, hey, listen, my life is really busy. The only time I have is to talk to you on the phone, and which, might I add, we only talked on the phone once in like 2.5 months, because everything else was text messaging. And I get the text messaging, it's okay, but sometimes a phone conversation helps. But then I say that, but when I did get on the phone with him, he cursed when I say he cursed from the time the sun up to sundown, to the snacks, to the appetizers, he was it vexed my spirit so much because he cursed so much. Every other word, I'm like, is that like your first language? So I was glad about not talking on the phone with him. I'm like, because I don't want to hear that. But the text messages was okay, but then they got a little vague, and then it was almost like, well, every time I mentioned about hanging out, it was like I always had to mention it, or I always had to bring it up. And the crazy thing about it is he didn't see anything wrong with it, because when I mentioned like, hey, if we can't spend time together, or you can't make time to at least go on a date, then I'm gonna have to tell you bye. But it's like he got real defensive. He made it seem like he was the victim, I was the problem, and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? Basically, what I found out is that he was gaslighting me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. But anyway, long story short, I was just like, I don't have time for this. Life is too precious. I just ain't got the time. And I had to end up letting him go. I'm like, listen, bruh. You're gonna have to come better than this, because but he made me feel like I was crazy, like maybe I shouldn't have asked him for a date. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't have had to ask, because if you were really interested in me, you would have been saying, hey, well, let's meet up, or let's meet up for breakfast, or let's go to lunch or something. So it kind of made me think, even though he said he didn't have anybody, that he did have someone, or maybe he was just interested in someone else and he just was a coward and just didn't know how to come out and tell me, which is cool. But anyway, after I kicked him to the curb, I was like, I am not getting on anybody else's dating site. And I got some friends, and they had this other dating site that they were trying to get on. I had one friend who did, but I was like, I think I'm gonna call quits on that. So anyway, so just be real when you in these dating streets. Make sure that you really listening to the person. The Bible tells us to be quick to hear, slow to speak, okay? Slow to wrath. But listen at what it said. Be quick to hear. Okay, so just be quick to hear about what these people are saying and what's going on, because more than likely, the red flag is somewhere in the conversation, okay? And so yeah, just be on the lookout for that. I had some career changes this year that, it's crazy, because I prayed to God for a career change. I actually wanted to leave my job. And I thought the conversation that I had with the Lord, I thought he understood that I wanted to leave my job and go someplace different. But the career change that I was telling the Lord about, I was like, I just want a career change. I just want a different scenery. I just want to do something different. Well, God gave me all of that. However, it was in the same job, just not on the floor that I would normally work on. It was just on another part of the building. And that has been very interesting. And I'm still, in talks with God about that, because it's been, as they say, it's been a roller coaster of a ride. And I'm like, okay, God, I know when you put us in things, it's for our good. There's a lesson in it. But you also say you won't put no more on us than we can bear. And I think the rubber is kind of meeting the road. But hey, I'm going to stick it out. I don't want to leave if God is doing something, or if he's trying to show me something through this. I don't want to abort the missions, before the lesson. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna stick around, but it's definitely been some career changes, a lot of learning, and I'm also learning to keep doors closed, like for good this time. God has dealt with me in the past about closing doors, and I wrote a blog post one time about the pain of closing every door, and God has been dealing with me about closing doors to certain things, closing doors to certain ideas, closing doors to certain people, closing doors to certain atmospheres, and just starting afresh, and because what I'm learning is that when we keep those doors open, like when we really keep those doors open, we're tying God's hands, because he can't move us where he wants to move us, because you still got a door open. Maybe you got a door open right now in your life. a door that you need to close, okay, before 2024. Before 2024 even come in, you need to close that door. Like maybe God has been dealing with you about, hey, okay. And I don't think God is going to keep telling us to do things. After a while, you're going to suffer. We suffer the consequences of the things that we don't do. So your consequence or our consequence could be not moving forward. Have you ever heard people say, man, I feel like I should be so much further down the road, than where I am right now? And so with that, it's like, yeah, you should be. Like, we should be. But we have to check our lives. Like, look back over your life and like, okay, what am I doing? What door do I still have open that's supposed to be closed? So, and I know God has been dealing with me heavily about that this end of the year of 2023. Like, close that door. Walk away. Move, or you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. If you don't walk away, you're going to miss it. And I don't want to miss it. And I know you don't want to miss it. So whatever doors that you need to close, make sure you close them. Okay. Close them doors. Okay. Spiritually, maybe you're attached to some things. Physically, some of our doors need to close, and just let the Lord like lead and guide you, and whatever. I had to close a door that I really didn't want to close, but I just feel like, especially the end of this year, it's been a whole lot of shifting from what you want to what you need. Is it serving us or no? Do you find yourself going into like this pattern? You feel like this hamster on this hamster wheel that's going round and round and round and round, and it's not going nowhere. The hamster think he's going somewhere, but he's not going nowhere. He's just going round and around and around in a circle. And some things have to shift. Is it serving you? Is it, are you the hamster on the hamster wheel and you just keep going around and around and around and you don't know why you keep going around? Like, why am I in this cycle? Is it serving me? Is it doing me good? Is it making me happy? Is it making me better? Is it making me money? Because if not, then I don't need to make time for it. I need to shift. Okay. I need to open my doors or open my mind to things that are really going to serve me, and that I'm going to get something out of it, So that's something. Let me see. Family changes. I've had some family changes this year, and making new habits and traditions, especially for the holidays. So my sister, we used to live like 45 minutes away from each other, but she moved to Texas this year, her and her family, and that's been very taxing on my mind and my heart. The crazy thing is that God told me that she was going to move, that they were going to move. So I was prepared, but you know how it is when God tells you something, and a lot of times he tells you something, but it doesn't happen right then and there. It's like a forewarning. Like, I see it up the road and I'm just getting you prepared for it right now because this is going to hurt you. I'm trying to lessen the blow. Then, you finding out and it really tearing you down. So I'm just kind of preparing you now for it, so get ready. But, so it was kind of one of those things. So when she told me that, God had been dealing with them and they were moving to Texas, it wasn't a surprise. But it was hurtful, and I didn't realize how hurt I really was until the holidays rolled around. Because usually for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm at her house and we're doing things. She's cooking, they don't trust me to cook. I'm kind of like the paper goods aunt. I just bring the paper goods. I bring the drinks. I bring the sweets from the store. And I bring the plastic spoons and forks. So, and the napkins. Yeah. So that's usually what I bring. Everybody that know me, Rashonda, bring you the paper goods, girl. I'm either bringing paper goods or I'm bringing the food from the store. Okay. Nobody wants my food. It's okay. It's all right. Hopefully God bless me to a husband that can cook. But the thing is that I realized that I had to make some new traditions this year, and they were very hard. So because I'm not a cook, we ended up going to Golden Corral for Thanksgiving this year, which was different. And I felt bad about it at first because everybody was like, what, you're not gonna cook? You're not gonna at least try? And whatever. Look, I know my giftings, okay? I know what works for me, and cooking is not one of them. But the thing is that it's nothing wrong with making new traditions and everything. And so that was a new tradition for me and my kids. It's just going to the Golden Corral. However, I realized that there is also a lot of other people who don't cook on Thanksgiving either, okay? Or they don't have family that they mingling over their house or friends and stuff. So don't let the holidays trip you up. Like, everybody is with their family. Everybody's with some type of friend or something. That is not true. And I learned that from the Golden Corral, okay? When I say that line was out the door, it was out the door. Them people was literally running over each other, okay, to eat that food. So, yeah. So I think that would be my holiday tradition for Thanksgiving. Probably, at least for the next year or two. Okay, but for Christmas, Christmas is what you make it. Christmas is all about love and sharing and just being with family and friends. And that's what it was for me and the kids. We had our jammies on, we was watching movies, and we all cooked up our own food, and that was it. It's not about what you have or what you do, what's in the fridge, who's cooking what, but it's about spending time with one another and just loving on each other. It's about love, in which one of my favorite quotes is, love doesn't take a holiday. So it doesn't take a holiday to show love. We're really supposed to show it all throughout the year. But of course, the holidays are really, really special days for when you do get with family. You draw a little closer to your family or the ones that are around you, and you just love on them. And I will say this, be intentional when it comes to your family for 2024. For those of you that have good relationships with your families, I understand if you don't, but be intentional. Be intentional about family time. I have a friend who, it was like they were so programmed with working until, they got invited to a wedding, family wedding, and they couldn't really take out time to enjoy the family because they were so busy thinking about working. And this is the thing. We don't know what the next year is going to hold, which is pretty much what I said in the beginning. It's, the year can be exciting, but it can be scary too. The people that we love on and that we cherish this year, they just may not be here next year. They may not be here in 2024. And that doesn't always mean in death, but it could be like my situation with my sister. They move away, and maybe you don't have the funds or the means or whatever to go and be with them. So you guys are separated. So it doesn't necessarily mean in death, but death is like a big part of it. Like somebody you loving on today could not be here next year. And so we really need to be intentional about family time, taking out time, because I'm going to tell you, having lost, quite a few people, one of the main things that come back to your mind after a person passes is regret. You don't immediately think about the good times you had or, and all this stuff. No, regret comes. Regret is like a bully. It brings up the things that you didn't do or that you didn't say or that you didn't have time for. And it punches you in the face and the gut. So, spend time, be like really, really intentional with family and friends for 2024. Call people, take out time. That's the best gift that you can give someone is your time. Even if it's a 10-minute phone call, hey, that's your time. You spent time with that person and, and everything. So that's, so that was pretty much my year in a nutshell. Listen, I don't know what 2024 is going to hold as far as the podcast is concerned, but I'm just praying that, I'm just allowing the Lord to guide. Allowing the Lord to guide, and he do what he do. So normally I would do a first Sunday and a second Thursday. However, I don't know how that's gonna go for 2024 because I have like some really big changes coming up in my own life. So I may not be as consistent with the first Sunday and the second Thursday, but hey, I will be doing some podcast episodes. Let me just say it that way. I just don't know when they're gonna come. But just stay tuned to this channel. Listen, don't give up on me. Sometimes I will post to my YouTube channel, Inspirations with Rashonda. You can follow me over there. I posted 2 videos over there. And I think I'm gonna do, I don't know, I don't want to say what I'm gonna do because then life happens and I may not end up getting a chance to do it. But you can follow me over there, Inspirations with Rashonda. You know, there's plenty of videos and stuff over there. It's God, life, and tips. So if I'm not here, then you can follow me, you know, over there. So anyway, I don't know what 2024 is going to hold for you. We all don't know what it's going to hold, but I will say this. Make sure you keep God at the forefront. Okay. Allow God to order your steps, you know, to lead, guide, and direct you. When I was in my prayer time the other morning, I closed my eyes. I woke up with the song Order My Steps. It's by the GMWA Mass Choir. And that song was so prevalent in my spirit, and it's one of my favorite songs. However, when I closed my eyes, I saw 2024, and right beside 2024, it said, in your word. So that means that we're going to have to be in the word of God this upcoming year. As you can see, as far as church is concerned, there's so many things that's coming out about, you know, different people. I'm not going to say names, but different people in the media, different churches and leaders and things of that nature. Listen, it's a praying time, and God doesn't want us to really follow the leader, but follow him. Okay, follow him as the leader follows him. But if the leader is not following him, then, you know, we should be following God first and foremost. Okay, but there's so many things, and I've heard a lot of prophetic forecasts and people saying that, you know, of what 2024 is going to be. But I will say this: ask God for wisdom, ask him to order your steps, and make sure you are in his word, because there's safety in his word, and there's safety and secrets in his presence. Okay, so listen, I love you. Have the most amazing day and year ahead. Listen, I know I will be back, Lord's will, you know, posting some things, but yeah, I just wish you the best. But I just wanted to get on and just do a recap. So hopefully you got something, okay, from this podcast episode. But be blessed, and yeah, 2024, it's gonna be a year. It's gonna be a year. I just feel it. It's gonna be a year. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. But let's just make sure we are definitely doing a whole lot of praying. Okay, so listen, stay tuned. Have the most, I already said this. See, you know, this is the thing with me. I don't know how to say just cut things off. So I'm just going to say this. Be blessed, and I'll see you next time. That was it for today's episode. I hope you were inspired and feel positive vibes whenever you spend some time with me, Rashonda, and the Matters of the Heart podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to join me next time as we dive deeper into our spiritual, mental, and physical journey. You can follow Matters of the Heart podcast on Facebook to stay tuned for what's coming next. Feel free to share the episodes while you're here. Also, stay with me by subscribing wherever your favorite music and podcast stations reside. And as always, watch your heart, because its actions will follow. Thank you for listening.